Hey Chicago, what do you say? This is the CHGO Cubs Podcast, presented by Blue Moon, made brighter. Get Blue Moon delivered and see delivery options by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Welcome. Happy Thursday. Cody Delmendo, Ryan Herrera, and Luke Stuckmeyer. He's here, and he's smiling. He's alive.
He's here.
Surviving is the word. Surviving.
Yeah.
We're setting the line. We're setting the line at 5 coughs. That's where I've set it. All right.
Credit to you guys for holding down the fort. You've been warriors.
Yeah. We've missed you. I will admittedly say this on the show right now. I am exhausted from doing mine and your job.
He's exhausted.
Right. But
hardest working man in the company.
The spin zone for you in that, Luke, is that I now appreciate you even more than I already did. So.
Right.
Credit to you.
I'm heavier on your shoulders than you thought I'd be.
Yeah. Credit to you. All right.
Yeah, Barb's been asking about you all week, worried about you. So
I'd like to thank Barb for all those fake Manny's deli sandwiches and matzo ball soups she sent my way.
She was talking about tuna balls in the chat yesterday, so I don't know about those. That's
tuna balls.
Doesn't sound too appetizing to me.
It's always great to end the week with at least 4-time Emmy winner.
Oh yeah,
4+
at least
time
4
Emmy winner.
At least 4
for at least a few minutes.
Yeah,
no less than 4. Yeah. So let's go.
So
could be AI.
Today's show. If you're here because you're triggered by the headline, credit to me. Also, we have Hayden Wesneski's interview with Ryan out in Mesa a few weeks back when me and him were both out there. Devin Williams is hurt. We'll talk about that. Jed Hoyer was on John Heyman's podcast. We'll talk a little bit about that. But first, I have breaking news. This is the breaking news, all right? I've hinted it multiple times on the show over the last month, but our watch party is officially official. We tweeted it today, but it's officially official. Country Club, Thursday, March 28th at 6 p.m. That's when, well, you can show up even earlier if you want, because Country Club is a great bar in Wrigley on Clark Street, right across the street from Demo's, one of my favorite spots in the neighborhood. Yeah, we're doing a live watch party and postgame right there in the bar, right? We did opening day there last year, but it was just like a pregame before the bar. But since the Cubs are opening up on the road, we're going to do postgame there. Hopefully they beat the World Series reigning or winning, what is it? The reigning World Series champions.
There you
go. Texas Rangers that night. We can all hope, I guess. Justin Steele against I don't know who, because half of the Rangers rotation is hurt right now. But maybe Dane Dunning, Sox legend.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll 2 weeks. 2 weeks till
anyway,
day, which is kind of crazy that we're
right. 14 days actually.
Away.
Yeah. So the link is on the events section on allchgo.com, and it's free to come. All you got to do is just go RSVP. We're just trying to get a head count, like an estimated head count.
We're not even charging for tickets? We're not even charging?
We're not. It's free, Luke. You bring your entire family if you want.
Well, I'm not bringing the glossy photos to sign then, if this is free.
I feel like more people would come if you did bring the glossy photos, though.
Yeah.
I would for sure be there, even though I'm already going to be there. But
anyway, so yeah, it's officially official. We'll see y'all there. We'll keep promoting it for the next 14 days, but I'm excited to be doing that March 28th on opening day in Wrigley. Also, Christian, shout out to you. The only new diehard today, at least. We need more, obviously, and we've been getting a good amount. One, though, Christian, there's always a Christian in our chat. Maybe it's him. I don't know. Maybe it's someone I don't know. But whoever you are, you're a new diehard, and so to me, you're my new best friend. Credit to you. So, yeah, like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Did I do all the stuff, Luke? Did I hit it all? Am I missing something?
Do we have to mention Jared stays at Gila River Resort?
Yeah, why not? He's staying at the Gila River Resort and Casino V Cueva.
Yeah, he is.
I'm telling you,
place.
He was at Camelback today, not in Mesa, but I'm sure he was well rested and ready to go for all the news happening with the Sox today.
Yeah.
Thanks
When
to
he
the Gila
sleeps
River
tonight,
Resort.
he'll be at V Cueva.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He'll get a good night's sleep
He's
after
gonna
tonight over there.
Definitely.
Sure.
Yeah. Jared is helping with the Sox guys today, and I guess this is a good transition. He's helping with the Sox guys today, so he won't be on today's show because he's not even at the Cubs game right now, in which, before we came on, Shota Imanaga was shoving against the A's, which is good to see.
It's always good to see.
But Jared is covering the White Sox today because Dylan Cease was finally traded, and I'll say finally because he was rumored to be traded all offseason. We even talked about trading back for him multiple times on this podcast over the winter for 4 prospects from the Padres. One of them was part of the Juan Soto trade that came from the Yankees. So I guess you can say that the Padres traded Juan Soto for Dylan Cease in a way. Am I right on that? Like, am I off? Like, in a way, not fully, obviously, but like in a way, they moved Juan Soto and got Dylan Cease.
I mean, yeah, and not necessarily, but sure.
Okay.
We'll go with that.
Anyway,
2 separate deals.
Of course, we're using today's show to like look back at the Jose Quintana trade. All I can say, and I put a video up on my Instagram last night and my TikTok account, like kind of breaking it down. In my opinion, now, a lot of people aren't going to agree with it. I really don't care. But to me, I think the trade definitely didn't age like everyone thought it was. And Luke, I know you will attest to that. And I'm not even saying that the Cubs won the trade. What I'm saying is I think at this point, the trade is a wash because the Cubs won a playoff series with Jose Quintana. They had multiple winning seasons with Jose Quintana, and the White Sox won 2 playoff games and just came off a season where they lost 100 games with Dylan Cease and Eloy Jimenez. Dylan Cease has had legitimately only 1 elite season. Eloy Jimenez can't stay on the field, has massive potential to be a middle-of-the-lineup guy. But to me, they just, at least with the White Sox, they haven't lived up to what everyone thought they would be. So to me, I think it's like an even trade right now. I don't think the Cubs won the trade because they certainly could use Dylan Cease in this rotation with Justin Steele. But I also feel like it's not something that we're sitting here like belly aching about anymore either, because it's not like they've had a ton of success on the other side of the city. What are your thoughts?
I agree with you 1,000%. The trade is the trade. You can't continue to say, well, we have to wait and see what the prospects are going to be for what we get for Cease. No, that's a different transaction. That trade now is the trade for Cease to the Padres. That's the end of it. The Cubs are not involved in that at all. So the trade is the trade. Now, you can go on and you could trace it back, but you could do that till the end of time if you want to. So the trade is the trade. What did you get? The White Sox got Dylan Cease, some good years, but really 0 playoff success, no playoff series wins, and they got Eloy Jimenez, 0 playoff series wins, okay? Mm-hmm. The Cubs knew they were giving up. It's not like they thought they weren't giving up something. They knew they were giving up good prospects, their top pitching prospect, basically. But what did they get? They got to the NLCS with Jose Quintana on the mound. How can you say the Cubs didn't at least get a wash in this? I'm not saying Quintana lived up to the hype of what White Sox fans tried to sell to me of who he was. As Cap likes to say, they sold us a Ferrari, we got a Buick. I'll just say the Buick, not your father's Buick, that Buick now today lives up okay against what you lost. You knew you were giving up something for the future to play in the, hopefully, get back to the NLCS. They did that. He pitched in it. He was a successful pitcher for the Cubs. Trade over. It's okay. 3 players involved in it are pretty nice players. I'll say that. But just remember, Cease is gone. Only Jimenez is there. Even the guy that mocked the Cubs on the trade, Jason Benetti, even he's gone saying thanks, Cubs. He's now saying thanks, Cubs. They're all gone. Everybody's gone. Kenny Williams, gone.
Yeah.
The guy that made the trade, gone. They're all gone. The only guy that's left is Eloy, and he seems like a super nice guy, but you can't say Eloy Jimenez's career is better than Jose Quintana's. It's not.
Yeah.
And it wasn't for the period of time that we're talking about. Cubs used a veteran pitcher, low rate, to get to the NLCS. White Sox used two of the better prospects from the Cubs, and they got nowhere and they dismantled it. It's over.
Yeah. No, I tend to agree with that point of, you can say, like, wait until you see what the prospects that they got for Dylan Cease do in the big leagues, like whatever. But I would say it's like those are two separate transactions at this point. Oh, that was definitely a cough.
Did you
Absolutely.
cough?
Oh,
he muted.
he got muted.
He muted the thing.
Anyway, you can say that. I don't necessarily agree with that because you're talking about another few years down the line probably, and then even till some of these guys even debut or whatever, and then you're talking about even more years down the line before you start to get to a point where you're like, okay, are these guys actually like good, productive major leaguers that are helping the White Sox win, right? Like, so you're talking about, I don't know, 10 plus years between the Quintana trade and what those guys could end up being. So, and that feels like a long time to like say, oh, 10 plus years down the line, we're going to finish the grading on the Quintana for Dylan Cease and Eloy Jimenez trade. I'm with you guys that it feels like a wash at this point.
Yeah.
Just because like Quintana was solid, but wasn't what the Cubs needed at that point. Like he had a couple good years with the Cubs, but also a couple like underachieving years. So I felt like so. But yeah, with the fact that the White Sox didn't really do anything with Dylan Cease or Eloy Jimenez, which were the two prized acquisitions in that trade, it does feel like a wash to me at this point that no side like came out worse from it, but they also didn't really come out that much better from it either.
And this is like purposely playing devil's advocate against us for like the weirdo White Sox fans probably hate watching this right now. The White Sox definitely got more value back, right? Even though they didn't win with them, they definitely got more value back. Like Dylan Cease, like I said, he is someone that I wish was in the rotation with Justin Steele right now, top two in the rotation. You know what I mean?
That's the three players.
Right. Just him. Like, Eloy Jimenez was never the guy that I was upset to see go because at the time, the Cubs had Kyle Schwarber and they didn't have a DH. So, again, this is a trade deadline of 2017, right? The DH was just implemented, what, a year ago? 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
Whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, and listen, I have White Sox fans. We all have White Sox fans. I've had to listen to them complain about Eloy playing defense for years. All right. So I've never missed Eloy Jimenez. I always figured that he was going to turn into a really good power hitter. It was always Dylan Cease for me. That was the part that hurt me the most because at the time, and as the narrative got pushed, the Cubs couldn't develop pitching. He was literally their best pitching prospect. He was coming off Tommy John, whatever. The only thing to go with that makes me feel better about it is, again, he's put together one elite season where he finished in like as a finalist for Cy Young. Not last
second.
year, but second. Not last year, but the year before, right? Last year, I was talking to our producer, Steven, who's the producer for the Bear Show now. He's a White Sox fan. I was talking to him about how, to me, when I watch Dylan Cease, like, of course he has electric stuff. He gets a lot of strikeouts. The only thing that's ever really made me question him is he doesn't go deep into games because he doesn't get quick outs because he strikes out everyone and he walks people. But that's not to take anything away from him. That's like my only like hiccup about him, right? He's still a guy that I would love to have in the Cubs rotation. So again, playing devil's advocate, yes, he is a guy that I would love to have in the Cubs rotation. If they didn't make the trade, then sure, perhaps that we're in that scenario right now. I don't know how it would have worked out. But my point is that, like you brought up, Luke, when Benetti and what in the broadcast, I mean, that's like ingrained in my head forever. And yeah, I'll admittedly say it. Like, I hate that it happened. Like, what kind of fan would I be if I didn't like it? You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with rent free or any of these stupid the stupid shit that people say to me on social media because they're behind a keyboard. Like Sean is right now in my face now. Whenever he said thanks Cubs when Eloy hit that homer, like, yeah, it hurt. It sucks. Like but the point I'm getting with it is that when that happened, people they wrote this trade off as like a massive loss for the Cubs. And at this point, you just can't say that it was anymore. You just can't. You really can't.
Cody, I still lean. I'm not even saying it's a wash. I think the Cubs won. You can't look at it again. You can't look at it and say wait for the prospects. The White Sox didn't acquire Eloy Jimenez and Dylan Cease to acquire more prospects down the road. That wasn't the deal. They acquired those guys to be cornerstones of their rebuild and rebirth into a World Series champion, which dumpster fired into itself. It had not necessarily anything to do with those two guys, but did not winning and getting back to the World Series in 2017 have to do with Jose Quintana? Not really. Not really. He pitched pretty well for a couple years for the Cubs. So take Quintana off that Cubs team in 2017, okay? Where's that team without Quintana?
Trading for Justin Verlander instead.
Maybe trading for Verlander instead, yeah.
That's the move that frustrates me. It's not what they gave up to the White Sox. What they gave up to the White Sox were the right guys. Do you miss Eloy Jimenez any more than you miss Jorge Soler?
No.
No, I actually probably miss Soler more.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah. No, I don't know if I.
That's a fair point.
Cease is the guy you miss, but now that he's gone, I'm not worried about what prospects they're getting back from. I hope they get good prospects back. Maybe that way they'll pay for their own ballpark.
Fair.
No, I don't know if I'd go as far as to say the Cubs won the trade, but I like I said, I do agree that it's probably a wash at this point. Just, Cubs didn't really have much playoff success with Quintana on board. The White Sox obviously didn't have much playoff success with those two guys on board. I guess Eloy's still around and could turn things around, but as we sit here right now, it feels more like a wash to me. Like, just kind of okay, just like move on now. I guess, again, unless Eloy completely turns things around and becomes like this great player in baseball right now. Until that happens, right now I sit here and it's a wash to me.
Gary makes a good point in the chat that the big win for the Cubs in that time period of trading for Quintana was that he was controllable and he wasn't very expensive and he had high upside, right? And so it allowed them to sign Yu Darvish the following offseason. And if you want to go the route of what White Sox fans might take now with the whole, like, the prospects they got back from the Padres and continue to debate if they won this trade or not, you can argue that this trade might have led to the Cubs being able to get Owen Casey. So I'm not doing this. That is what Gary is doing in the chat. But if you want to go that route, I ain't going to tell you how to fan, brother. So, listen, that was definitely the big pro about the trade at the time, was that you were getting a controllable starter who was younger, because at the time the Cubs had John Lester, Jake Arrieta, John Lackey in his last year, right?
It was 28. Quintana was 28 at the time.
Right.
So
and then
under 30.
at the time, I know going into 2017 they had Brad Anderson, who did not pan out to be what they were hoping, and that, I mean, I can't even think of the other guy. So, like, they didn't have any young, controllable starting pitching, and this leads to the conversation that we've had for years, up until these last few years, about how the Cubs really struggled to develop their own homegrown pitching in their farm system. And so that trading for Quintana, the point of doing it to begin with was because they really did think that hopefully he would turn into like a top of the rotation type guy, a 1 or a 2, but also because he was controllable and he wasn't expensive. And, you know, that whole part of it, you got half of it. He was controllable and he wasn't expensive. And like you said, Luke, he was fine. He was a great middle of the rotation starter. He just never lived up to the expectations that fans put on him, and hell, even the front office.
Where would he be on the White Sox right now? Where would he be in the White Sox rotation right now, Quintana?
Well, isn't he opening day
He's
starter?
opening day starter for the Mets.
Yeah.
That's what I'm telling you. He'd be the opening day starter for the White Sox still today. Today, he'd be the opening day starter for the White Sox.
Carter Hawkins reminds me it was Kyle Hendricks.
Oh, okay.
How could I forget Kyle Hendricks?
Honestly,
you are correct, Carter
honestly,
Hawkins.
I was like only half listening to you, so I just assumed you said Hendricks in that point.
I don't know why I wasn't thinking of Kyle Hendricks.
Yeah.
By the way,
Please roast me. Please cook me in the chat now. I'm giving all credit to anyone who roasts me in the chat.
all jokes and ribbing aside, how bad are the Mets if he's their opening day starter?
Well, Senga being hurt definitely is a big reason. Didn't they have another injury too? I don't know. But like
everybody's hurt.
and
but
he's coming off
year.
a season where he was hurt the entire year. Yeah, it's doesn't look great for the Mets right now.
Yeah, but he was pretty good the year before.
Yeah.
We'll give him that.
I would say, you know, the thing about Quintana that honestly also pains me the most when we look back at this trade is that after he left the Cubs, he went to the Pirates and was not very good, or maybe he was good, or he made a few stops.
Cardinals.
Yeah, it was the Cardinals where he went to, and he was actually really good for them.
Well, it was him and Montgomery at the time, right?
Yeah.
If I'm mistaken. At the same time.
That honestly, him
Those were
going
the Giants and the Angels and the Giants in 21, then Pittsburgh and St. Louis in 22.
If I remember right, yeah,
well.
that's what like triggers me the most about the Jose Quintana trade anymore is that after he left the Cubs, he actually started pitching way better than he ever did with the Cubs. Who knows why?
Stop doing the dishes. Stop doing the dishes.
It's one of those things. It's one of those things that like once he finally retires, I guess I can like exile all my demons from it that I've felt from it. But it certainly helps that like, you know, the White Sox haven't gone on to win like consecutive World Series or anything like that, or make multiple deep playoff runs with Dylan Cease and Eloy Jimenez. And that's all I'm really saying. Like I think it's another proven point for anyone who thinks that building through your farm system only and not really paying for guys at certain points when it feels like you're ready to take that next step as an organization. Like you just never know how guys are going to develop and you know either go up or go down, back up. It's like Theo said, like what is it? Development isn't always linear or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Development isn't always linear.
Right. So that's kind of, again, that's just my big takeaway from the entire thing is just it doesn't hurt nearly as much.
The game's about winning. The game's about winning.
Well, yeah.
Jose Quintana helped the Cubs do more winning than Cease and Eloy together helped the White Sox do. That's factual.
I mean, what, like
He helped them get to the NLC. He helped them get to the NLCS.
Sure.
They helped him get to not a single series playoff win.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, that was only three extra wins they got in the playoffs. Like, you're right technically, but it wasn't a ton of winning.
2 or 3
I'll say
Lamborghinis
this:
is more than 0 Lamborghinis.
I'll say I'd like to end this on John Golden's comment. He said the biggest takeaway for the trade is the lack of impact it had on both teams. The blockbuster turned into a dud. That's kind of how I felt about it. Like at the time, you're thinking of, especially once. Like at the time, you're thinking of Quintana being this major addition to this rotation, and then obviously a few years later, the Sox are looking at Eloy and Dylan Cease as major additions to their team, and you're looking, like at one point you're like, can this be like where the White Sox and the Cubs are both really good at the same time and are battling for Chicago supremacy, and it just never really turned out that way. So I kind of agree with that comment and the fact that it's just
I do.
It felt like a major trade at the time that just. It didn't have a ton of positive effect on either franchise just because we talk about the playoff winning. It didn't lead either team to much more playoff winning than they had prior to that.
Godfather says Quintana didn't do crap. Not true. Like Luke said, he did win a playoff game. He started a playoff game. The Cubs won. He went 5 2/3 innings in that game, and they won that game. All right. Just saying. All right.
Check. Back in the day, that was a huge deal.
All right. So some other news. Devin Williams going to start the season on the injured list. Probably not going to play for the first 3 months, which is significant news for the Brewers.
There's another cough.
Is
He's
Luke
coughing.
coughing? He's definitely coughing. That's two.
That's two.
He's shaking
No,
his head, but I'm
I
don't let the facts
tea.
get in the way of a good story.
I was looking for my tea.
Anyway, Devin Williams out. Going to be out at least 3 months, right?
Yeah.
He was the closer for the Brewers. He's one of the best closers in the game, one of the best young pitchers in the game. So that's Woodruff. There's no Woodruff. There's no Burns. There's no Josh Hader for them. And now Williams. I think it's a significant blow for the Brewers unless some of their young prospects / young players that debuted last year make a massive jump for them. I'm not ready to say they're worse than the Pirates or anything like that, but to me, it feels like if another significant injury like this happens, they really could be selling at the deadline. And, I'm honestly kind of surprised that the Dodgers haven't really traded for Willy Adames at this point, considering their issues up the middle that they've had with Gavin Lux. And I know that they're high or that they like Willy Adames based off things I've read. But all that aside, Williams being out for Milwaukee to start the year is significant.
Agreed. It's a big deal, but I know we've thought for years that the Brewers would somehow always find a way. I just don't think this year that's going to be true. I don't know that it's going to be because Council's gone. I just think they're rebuilding. They're rebuilding. If they do it again and are somehow in the hunt for a division title, Council's gone and all those guys are gone, then you got to really start to evaluate how are they doing this, right? Like as an organization, how are they doing this? I don't know that I'm there yet, but I'll be shocked if they're higher than third. Shocked.
Yeah, I mean it's a season where they're obviously traded Corbin Burns. Brandon Woodruff's hurt. Craig Counsell's gone. Devin Williams is gonna be hurt for half the year. It is it feels more like a transition year for the Brewers, and obviously they have a lot of good young talent that's going to be on the team for a while this season if they're not up on opening day. Some of those guys, but what you expect: the Garrett Mitchell, Sal Frelick, Jackson Churrios, right there. They have a lot of good young talent, and so it feels like a year so similar to what the Cubs have had the last couple of years, where even last year, especially a year they want to compete, but they're also going to give a lot of time to some of the younger guys either that have been in the league for a couple of years and still really trying to establish themselves, or even rookies that are coming up and making their debuts. It feels like that for the Brewers, and especially losing Devin Williams, who is one of the best relievers in the game. It makes it feel a little bit more so. But, I mean, you said it, Luke, the Brewers seem to always find a way, and I can't count them out because they do have – proven talent already. Willy Adames, William Contreras has been in the league for a few years now. Christian Yelich had a lot better year last year than he had years prior. Remember we talked to Adam McCalvey at the Brewers beat writer for Cubs from MLB.com at winter meetings. I was going to say Cubs convention. That didn't make sense. The winter meetings and him talking about Christian Yelich's season and how he can potentially sustain it going forward. So I can't really count them out because they have some of those guys and they have really good young talent that's establishing themselves in the big leagues. So, and obviously guys like Freddie Peralta's around. Wade Miley pitched pretty well for him. So
isn't Yelich going to be JFK Jr.'s running mate for vice president? Isn't he leaving baseball to do that now?
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
I thought that was Rodgers.
Oh, Aaron Rodgers. My bad.
Wrong Wisconsin athlete. So I can't necessarily count them out. It does feel on paper like they're going into a transitional year for them. Not completely tanking, obviously, but maybe not favorites to win the division anymore. But I can't count them out, man. They got a lot of good players either on that team or in that system that still got to watch out for them.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Ryan on this. Big of me to do that since we never agree on anything. And it's not necessarily because of history, but for some reason, I actually feel a little bit more worried about the Brewers' offense than I do the pitching. And their problem over the Craig Counsell era was the fact that they couldn't get the offense. But William Contreras is no joke. Jackson Chourio, I mean, they paid him a ton of money, and he hasn't taken one at bat at the major league level yet.
Yep.
They're clearly high on him for a reason. Of course, he has to go out there and prove it, and a lot of it is all based on potential and everything, but he is one of the top prospects in baseball. You still have Adames, whether he's going to be there or not. They probably, if things don't go well, they probably do trade him since they don't pay anyone except for Yelich. But like guys like Garrett Mitchell, guys like Joey Weimer, like they have a lot to prove, but they're young. They're young and talented. The Brewers have one of the top farm systems in baseball too, and so I can't say that I think they're going through like a quote unquote rebuild that's going to take years and years, like the White Sox are about to go through. At least what it feels like, or like even what the Cubs have gone through over the last couple of years. But if it's a transition year, I still don't think that they're bad enough to where they're going to be some easy out, or that we shouldn't be worried about them anyway, just because this division is so winnable for any team. I think if the extremes for Milwaukee hit, I could see them somehow winning this division or getting in the wild card, honestly. And like a lot of things would have to go right. I think that's all I'm saying, is that a lot of things would have to go right. But it's not like they're completely revamping their roster. Them not having Burns or Woodruff is probably going to be the biggest thing that hurts them, because they're going to be relying on a lot of guys to step up in that rotation. And as we've talked about, you need more than 5 guys to do that. They're not going to have nearly as many proven guys. So that, to me, that's probably the thing that would hold them back, because pitching wins at the end of the day. But you still have Peralta, still have Miley, like you said. So
not like Miley's going to be one of their top 2 or 3 pitchers, but he pitched well enough to be in that rotation last year.
Sure, yeah. So we'll see. But like at this point, it does feel like they seem to be trending down, because losing your closer, as we've seen with the Cubs not having a real closer up until this year, it costs you games. So we'll see who's going to be that guy for the first half of the season for the Brewers. All right, we got to do some ads. So, Luke, you want to hang around for the Wesneski interview, or are you going to head out?
I'm going to head out, but I do want to point out that as much as I make fun of the Brewers, I'm currently on the Ryan Braun plan. I'm stock full of steroids. I'm loaded up on codeine, et cetera, et cetera. I could hit 45 this year.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah.
We need you on the softball team then.
Yeah, you have to play on the softball team.
Actually, so far, steroids and codeine have had little results. Little impact.
All right.
If you're on steroids, you can't use the excuse of you can't use the excuse of helping the softball team by not playing, like we both did last year.
Right. Well, I'll be off them. I'm actually winding down off them now already. So.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the season's starting soon. You never know. You might still have the effects. You know.
If I can get a refill, I'll let you know.
Okay.
All right. Well,
CHGO, we don't play clean.
There you go.
I hope you feel better, and I hope you're here Monday, because I miss you.
Also, okay. I've managed to chop off like 4 or 5 wins off Cody's on the standings, on the off-season ping pong standings.
Yeah.
So while you've been out, we've played a lot of games.
Yeah, it's the
overall record.
20. I'm 26 and 17.
26 and 17. I'm 17 and 26.
Yeah.
Oh, that's how that works.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I've knocked off like 4 wins or so from there. So we got some time before opening day.
All right, Luke. We'll see you next week, man.
Guys. Have a good rest of the show. Appreciate you guys hanging out for me.
Yeah.
Stack.
See ya.
All right. Ryan, you want to tell us about Chevy?
Yeah. So when Luke is done being sick and comes in here to hangs out with us and maybe watch some ping pong, whatever, he's also going to want to figure out how to go and hang out with our friends at Chevy. Mm-hmm. Chevy's got the best offers of the year during the March Radness sales event.
Ooh.
Make your way to Ray Chevrolet on Route 12 in Fox Lake to join in on the savings. One of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest. You'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories. Perfect tailgate vehicles await at Ray Chevy during Truck Month. For a limited time, they're offering 0% financing for 72 months on new Silverados with over 100 available, 125 vehicles under $20,000. Seriously, guys, can pricing get more affordable? Everyone loves the word free, and that's what you'll get this month at Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake, a free oil change. All you need to do is mention CHGO when scheduling your oil change. Start off the new year right and schedule it by April 1st. Visit Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Find new roads. Love Chevy. Love Ray Chevy. That deal with the oil change. Oil changes are getting
oil changes are way too expensive these days.
They're getting up there, so a free oil change.
You want me to stand at a window and yell at the clouds about something? It's about how expensive oil changes are. Yeah, but if you go to Chevy and get your free oil change, brother.
All you have to do is go to Chevy and mention CHGO. Exactly. And you get a free oil change. Not many deals like that out there for anything.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Prize Picks, guys. Let me tell you about Prize Picks. It's the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. The easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Conference tournaments are here. Oh my God, we get college hoops from 10 a.m. until like 11:30 p.m. on the West Coast this entire week. It's a beautiful thing. And then March Madness is next week. You can do so much with Prize Picks during March Madness, man. There's nothing like it. The biggest moments in college basketball getting closer. Get be part of the action on Prize Picks for both men's and women's college basketball. My personal experience, let's just say this. Maybe tomorrow, like Illinois plays tomorrow against either Ohio State or Iowa. Maybe I'll put Marcus Damaski in the points total because he owns both Iowa and Ohio State. And with him maybe Casey Tominaga from Nebraska, he's gonna play tomorrow. One of my favorite players in the Big Ten, to be honest with you. Purdue's gonna play tomorrow, and I'll just pick anything on their team less than just to own Greg Braggs. Boo Buie for Northwestern over on the points because he's the best athlete that's ever came out of Northwestern basketball, literally in the history of their entire university. Put them all together and just watch the winnings roll in, man. That's I just talked myself into doing that tomorrow. Those 4 guys, over and less than on anything related to Purdue, just to own Greg Braggs. I hope Greg Braggs is listening right now. All right, I would say under for Braden Smith on the points. I think he's also. I know Greg wants them to lose anyway, so I'll go under on Braden Smith points. All right. Go to prizepicks.com/CHGO and use code CHGO for a first deposit matchup up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/CHGO and use code CHGO. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Okay. We started at 3:45. It's 4:23, so we have a decent amount of time. Do we want to talk about Jed Hoyer on John Heyman's show first, or do we want to do the Wesneski?
Let's do the interview. Make sure we got enough time for everything.
Let's do the Hayden Wesneski interview.
Yeah, so
I got to listen to it in the car.
After I did it.
Yeah, right after you did it. So I have already listened to it, and I was very excited after I listened to it. So.
Yeah. No, we've talked about him a little bit. Another guy that's just kind of trying to lock down a role on the big league team. Like we saw him last year go up and down a little bit between the big leagues and AAA. And while he obviously didn't lock down the rotation spot last year that he earned coming out of spring training. But the Cubs have not ruled him out as a starting pitcher. They've definitely not given up on him as a starting pitcher. He does have some of the nastiest stuff still in the system right now. So that's definitely something to monitor. I don't know if we're sitting here right now and probably saying he's not one of the favorites to make the rotation, but still a couple weeks left in spring training could surprise us, and we'll see where that goes. But it is nice to talk to Wesneski and just kind of hear him talk about reflecting on the season, figuring out what kind of went wrong for him, and figuring out ways to attack that in a better way this offseason and to really mentally get into figuring out how to be a pitcher and just a baseball player at this level. I think that's a lot of good perspective from him on just the challenges of the last year or so.
Let's do it, Sarah.
I'm Ryan Herrera of CHGO Cubs. I'm here with Chicago Cubs pitcher Hayden Wesneski. Hayden, how are we doing today?
Not bad this early morning in Arizona. How you doing, Ryan?
Yeah, doing really well. Appreciate you asking. So, first question, obviously, we're 10 days or so into spring training. What's it been like? What's it been like for you? Another spring training with the Cubs and just being here with all the guys again.
Man, it's already been 10 days. That's crazy. Kind of flew by. It's kind of flown by a little bit. I don't know what day it is anymore, but it's been going well. It's been good. Council has us going pretty straight and narrow, and we like where things are going right now.
So for you, as you reflected on this last season, what were kind of some of your takeaways from your own performance, from the team's performance, and just how did that kind of help you plan out the winter for you?
Last year, yeah, for me, it was a cool experience. I learned a lot about just playing in the big leagues, understanding how travel works, how the fans are, and kind of how to be a Chicago Cub. And then the team side, we realized how good we were, right? We weren't supposed to be that good. A lot of people doubted us. We ended up doing, I think, pretty well. I know we missed the playoffs, but we had some guys step up, and I'm hoping to be one of those guys that steps up this year.
And for you, between starting and relieving, obviously just some of the struggles starting, when you kind of reflected on that, what did you kind of find as like these were the issues that were really maybe hurting me during the season, that and how have you planned to kind of counteract those?
Starting, I had some good and bad starts, right? Mm-hmm. I felt that the bad ones were really bad and the good ones were really good, mm-hmm. and I don't need as many so many highs and lows. It's one of those things where if I need to stay in the middle, and that's something that you can learn from Kyle Hendricks, right? That guy stays in the middle more than anybody I've ever met, and so I think that moving into starting, that's kind of where I need to be, is kind of in the middle.
So when you mention those kind of guys like Kyle, what are like some of the things as you're progressing in your own big league career, some of the things you're asking them, whether it's advice or how to do different things? What are some of the questions that you have for some of those guys like Kyle?
A lot of it is game planning stuff, right? My stuff is plenty good enough. I know that. I've been told that. I'm well aware, right? A lot of it's just the game planning stuff. We're like, hey, where are you attacking this guy, right? Okay, hey, what does that swing tell you? Like, because what Kyle does a really good job of is he basically reads their mind by what the body's telling them, right? Their body can tell you a lot what's going on. And so just trying to pick up little tips and tricks about, hey, this is what his body's telling you. This is what he's telling you, mm-hmm. doing this. And so that's something that I picked up from him. Mark Leiter, and I've kind of learned from him on the whole relieving side with like, hey, how to attack the day, right? We're like, hey, how to move your body, how to get ready to go in, what you should be thinking about, right? Like what pitches you should use in later innings, right? So it's like I kind of just learned a little bit of everything from a few different guys, but you just kind of try to pick up little things from them.
So you actually mentioned Craig Counsell earlier. Just what has it been like getting to know him? Has there been anything about him that surprised you since the start of camp?
His personality surprised me. When you see him across the field and on TV, he looks so stern and rigid and not and very focused. Not like in a bad way, but just like very, very serious. And when he's in the clubhouse, he's smiling a lot. He's saying hi to guys. He just showed more personality than I thought he would have. I know I don't know. That's not a bad thing. I'm just saying that like I didn't know what to expect, and just from afar, what I've seen was totally wrong, totally different than what him as a person. And
he actually mentioned, with Jordan Wicks, how he, you were in Milwaukee at the end of the year. Jordan started there, had a rough outing, and just what Counsell had seen on the other side of it as the opposing manager at the time. Have you had any conversations with him about that? Just what he saw as an opposing manager, how they game plan for you from the other side?
I haven't really asked him about the game planning part, which I probably, now that you mention it, probably should have asked that, right?
Yeah.
No, but we've talked about me and what he expects and should go on, right? And we've had really good conversations about it, where he kind of goes, hey, you're a big leaguer, you can do this, and you need to believe it, and we all believe it. And so it's a really strong feeling. Like, it's really nice to hear from a new manager and a guy that just came over and has never had an interaction with me,
Yeah. And with the managerial change, obviously you don't know. The coaching staff was up in the air for a little bit there as he kind of took his time and got to know a lot of the guys in the organization. But when you heard that, obviously Tommy Hotovy, Daniel Moskos, and those kind of guys were sticking around, what was the feeling like? What was the reaction for you?
Man, change isn't always good, right? Like, I know, and we're excited about the change that happened, but change isn't always good. And so hearing when Council got hired, it was a shock, a little bit of a shock to us. And but like, that's the next thought is like, hey, what are we going to do? Like, who's going to be our pitching coach? Like, and it was good to hear. Me and Tommy have a good relationship. We play around with each other, and man, we have a good relationship, right? And I didn't want that to go to waste. I mean, I had a good year and a half with them, and I wanted to continue that relationship, you know. And then Moskos I've had since AA, right? I couldn't get away from the guy, you know. And so he knows me as good as anybody, if not the best, right? And so it's really nice to keep him around, have him around, and I wouldn't want him to go anywhere. And so those questions of when Council gets hired, it's like, man, I really hope that he keeps his guys, but you never know, right? You never know what's going to happen.
So, you know, obviously on top of the change in the coaching staff or the manager, you added a big piece to the pitching staff, or a few pieces, but obviously one out of Japan, Shota Imanaga, and you know, the Cubs fans, people that watch the Cubs have seen it with Seiya, you know, the tough transition, a lot to go through coming from Japan going to Major League Baseball. But with Shota, what have you seen from him? What have conversations you've had with him, if you've been able to? Just what have you seen out of him as he kind of starts his Major League Baseball journey?
So, man, for Seiya, I think he's had a really good career. He had a really good year last year, and it is an adjustment, man. Like, you have to understand, you're coming to a whole new country, a whole new world, basically, right? And so there is an adjusting period that comes with it, where what do I eat, right? Like, it's can I communicate to people? Like, it's just like there's the little things that you don't think about as an American that you don't deal with because you're an American, you've done it before, right? And so on the aspect of that, I think it's going to really help because Shota knows English pretty well, right? He knows pretty good English. He tries, right? And he man, he's just he's a really good human being. He's a good dude. I've seen him pitch once, and I loved watching him. I played catch with him yesterday, and his fastball is incredible, dude. It's the like, you see it on TV, and you see guys swinging and missing. Like, for instance, Spencer Strider has a fastball. It's really hard, but a lot of guys throw a really hard fastball. But it's not the velo that gets him. Yeah. It's the way the ball moves, the way the ball jumps out of your hand. And that's what Shota has. His ball jumps out of his hands. It's like you're waiting for it to come down, and you're like waiting. You've caught so many baseballs. You see, like, okay, this is what it's supposed to do, and it doesn't do that. It just stays up, and it gets on you. Yeah. And it's a really cool thing, and the guy commands it, and he works. His work is very diligent. He checks off all the boxes, right? It's like this every throw is very focused. He's upset when he misses, right? And it's not very often. The dude is just he gets it, right? He gets how to be professional. He's a very professional pitcher, and man, he's a great human being, dude. He makes us laugh. He's goofy, right? Like, he just fits in, I think, really well. Maybe perfect.
Yeah, when you're talking about fitting in, obviously you have a lot of personalities in that clubhouse, a lot of people from different backgrounds, different countries, and whatever it is. How have you felt that the group has gelled? Whether it's the guys that are still here from last year, previous season, and even some of the new guys you brought in, how do you feel like just the group as right now is gelling? I know it's early, again, not even a couple weeks in the spring, but just...
Man, I really think this team is gelled really good. Like, I haven't been around a whole lot of big league clubhouses, so I could be totally wrong, but the energy I'm getting is absolutely great, right? Like, Hector.
Yeah.
Nurse.
Hector,
yeah. Okay, I messed it up every time, but he's incredible. He helps us out a lot. He tells us a lot of knowledge. He's been through a lot. He's done really well in his career, right? So he's helping guys like me out. I just listen. He talk. Leiter's great. Adbert's great, right? And then the new guys like Almonte, Yancey, like you don't realize how big of a deal like someone like Yancey and Kwas are, because they speak Spanish, really good Spanish, and they speak really good English. That helps us. And like Adbert, another example, right? Because not in football and in basketball, they don't have this issue where it's like two different like backgrounds, complete backgrounds, right? Well, the Yincy and Alamonte, Kwas, and Albert, they're like, they get both sides of it.
Yeah.
And like, for someone like me, I don't get the Latin side. I don't understand. Like, I have no clue unless what you tell me and these guys communicate to me, like, what's going on. And like, they help gel the team. Those are the guys that help gel the team a lot more than you think, right? And the Narises help, right?
Yeah.
Like, they get it. They get both sides of the coin. And so we don't have that. I don't think we have that issue. It's not like the international versus the domestic guys. No, we're like a one team, right? And and that really makes a big deal. So I feel like this team is gelling really well together. We watch each other pitch. Man, I'm just excited about this group. I don't know. I feel like I fit in, you know?
Yeah. So talking about the group and even shrinking it down, there's a group of you guys that, you know, maybe battling for a starting position or starting rotation position to start the year. I know Craig has talked about, like, even though you set the starting 5 on opening day, you're going to need a lot more than 5 to get through the season. He doesn't seem too worried about that, but, you know, I don't think you've given up on yourself as a starting pitcher. I know the coaches haven't given up on you as a starting pitcher. What are kind of your goals in that sense, or what you're trying to do this spring or this season, as far as, like, you still want to be a starting pitcher in the big leagues?
Mm-hmm. No, I definitely do want to start. Right, that's not a question. I'm very grateful that the coaching staff hasn't given up on me, because they easily could. Right. The things I'm gonna try to do is try to cut out the distractions. Right. There's a lot of distractions. It's and most of them I create myself, right? And that's not a great thing. But yeah, you have to understand that we're going to need more than 5 guys, right? Let's just think about last year. We were mostly healthy at a time we had, 1 or 2 guys that would get hurt. Like, we didn't have a bunch of guys go down. And we still used, I think, 9 to 11 starters? Like,
something like that.
Yeah, we didn't get hurt that much. Like, we stayed healthy for the most part. And that's, like, and so it's just, you're going to need, I was told you're going to need 8 to 10 guys bare minimum.
Sure.
And I think I was talking to a guy with the Reds, and he's like, yeah, we used 15 starters last year. So you have to understand that, yes, the starting 5 that are going to come out in opening day, you're going to need another 5 to 10 to come in and to help you out during the year. So I think we have a really good depth when it comes to starting pitching. We'll just see how much we use it, and we'll go from there.
Okay, I got one more for you. I know you're a big football fan. I know you're a Texans fan. You guys were able to get who seems like your franchise quarterback last year in C.J. Stroud. The Bears have the first overall pick, and they don't know what to do. No one. There's a huge debate up in Chicago about what they should do. From an outside perspective, what should the Bears do with the first overall pick?
So the position the Texans are in, we get to spend some money on nothing that's not quarterback, right? So I think it's one of those things where, yes, I think Justin Fields is good. But Caleb Williams, he resets the clock on. I don't mean to get detailed in this, but like it resets the clock for the rookie contract, so you can go sign a bunch of guys. And I think Caleb Williams is really good, right? And listen, so it's not only a person decision, but it's a business decision as well. So and it just gives you more opportunities to do more different things on the offensive side, and you can spend a little money on the defensive side, right? So I think it just kind of gives you a little leverage, but. Hey, I like where the Texans are going. So, and the Bears are not far behind. I think, at least, especially depending on what they do. They have a lot of options, but having a lot of options isn't always the best thing, because you could try to do everything. You know.
Hey, I'm sure there's people out there that agree with you. I'm sure there's people out there that disagree with you. But that's why we love these things, huh?
Yeah, as an expert from afar, you know, I'm excited about what the Texans are doing, and I will cheer for the Bears as long as they're not playing the Texans.
There you go. All right, Hayden, appreciate you joining us. Thank you. For CHGO Cubs, I'm Ryan Herrera. Thanks.
We definitely saved the most important question for last.
Absolutely. That's back-to-back.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
Back-to-back interviews.
When I think about that question, I need a lot of Blue Moon whenever I think about that question. You know why? Because I'm so tired of that question. But Blue Moon helps me get through it.
Yeah, why do you think I have this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's
here.
an exhausting topic. But Blue Moon helps me get through it, guys. Yep. There's nothing that gets me through stress and pain better than Blue Moon, all right? Fact, F-A-C-T, all right?
Would you rather have a can, a bottle, or a chilled glass with the orange inside?
See, if I'm out, like, I've said this before, like, there's something about a Blue Moon at B-Dubs, or if I'm like eating wings in general. So wherever, you know. So like if I'm in that setting, then I like it on draft. But if we're sitting here shooting the shit, either celebrating the Chicago Cubs or complaining about the Chicago Cubs, I like it in a can.
Yeah. Now I was gonna say I don't care how it comes together. It's amazing anyway, but you do you.
Yeah.
It's amazing any way you drink it, in my opinion.
Exactly. I agree. All right. It's made brighter. Get Blue Moon delivered and see delivery options by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Yeah, and nothing was better with a blue moon than getting your floors redone.
Absolutely. Like
There
you
you
just
go.
like be hanging out at your
Yeah.
apartment and you're like looking at all these new floors while sipping on a Blue Moon. It's very
Absolutely.
casual. That's the kind of beer Blue Moon is.
I mean, that's how you celebrate the new floors, is what you crack open a blue moon.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
But yeah, so we got to tell you about our friends at Empire. With Empire today, you get shop-at-home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. Empire today is the best place to get new flooring, so of course they have copycats, but Empire can't be beaten on quality, service, speed, so competitors advertise low-quality products that Empire simply won't carry. Empire won't promise the lowest prices because anyone who does that is putting flooring in your home that they wouldn't put in theirs. They keep shopping for floors simple with a curated product selection. Empire's philosophy is to help you find what you need, not overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes. What they leave out of their selection is as important as what they put in. Empire's product team exhaustively combs through thousands of product samples each year to find the perfect styles. They got the virtual floor designer, which is a great way to see how new floors will look in any space. It's easy, just snap a picture and instantly see how new floors will look in your room. Shopping for floors at a big box store can be frustrating. You might talk to someone today who was working in plumbing yesterday or even a few days ago like me. Flooring is all Empire does. They live and breathe flooring, so you can be confident you're getting honest, upfront advice. They pride themselves on their convenient shop-at-home service. They help customers shop for floors where they use their floors so they can see exactly what their new floors will look like in their home's lighting and decor so they can make an informed decision. They service their own warranties. If an issue does arise, just call Empire. Again, they service all warranties themselves. You won't have to track down a manufacturer's phone number. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use the promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/CHGO for details. $350, that's
$350.
can't beat that.
I
Can't beat
know one of our most loyal listeners, Godfather, used Empire. Got that $350 off discount. I saw during the interview, he said in the chat that he had spent the last couple days in the hospital. So I'm sending well wishes to Godfather because, again, he does listen to us every day. And even though I think he doesn't agree with anything that we say, he continues to come back and listen to us. So credit to you, Godfather. I hope you feel better, my friend.
Yeah. Shout out Godfather's been here 2 years now?
2 years.
2 years now. Like Godfather's
Over 2 years.
one of us.
Yeah.
One of us. So hope you're feeling better, Godfather. And hope those new floors are treating you right.
Yeah, I hope those good floors. Also, Kyber said some really nice things about you during the interview. Said that the work all you do in production and interviews outs you all ahead and shoulders above the rest. Appreciate you all, CHGO Cubs.
Yeah.
Credit to you, Kyber.
A lot of people in the chat have complimented my interviews since we started putting them out, so thank you.
I will
Susie,
say you do
Carter.
a good job, and I think that's very big of me to say.
Yeah. You usually don't give me credit, so that is big.
I'm
of you.
giving you credit now, all right? Now, obviously, it's kind of joking about the very end about the Fields-Williams stuff, but overall, like, I think one of the reasons that since we got back from Arizona and I've kind of pushed Wesneski a little bit is largely because of this interview. Because I listened to it in the car and I was like, man, this guy looks like he's focused. And then on top of the fact, while I was out in Arizona, I saw him and Abbott, and I told this story like a week or two ago on the show. I saw him and Abbott like just walking the field. Like they were, I don't know, it was like early. You had to be at the ballpark early, so I was just hanging out. And him and Abbott walking around the field, full diamond and everything. And when they walk by me, I'm listening to Abbott like talk to Hayden about being a big leaguer and what it's how to become how to be a good big leaguer and all this like insightful stuff. And I think Hayden Wesneski was like legitimately listening to. Like I was,
Yeah.
It was one of
I would
those
think
like
so.
it's like one of those things you hear about through like the media and stuff that people talk about, but it's hard for people on the outside like me or other fans to like take seriously because it's like, are they just talking to talk or to get through the question or whatever or what? But like it was one of those things that I was like, wow, I just witnessed one of those things that you always hear come through the media, right? And not that I don't take any of that stuff, all that stuff like with a grain of salt, but it was one of those things that made me kind of excited about Hayden this year because he legitimately was like trying to learn from other veteran guys. Even though Adbert's still young, he's still, he's been in the league a while. He understands what it takes to be good, to get to the level he's at now. Adbert was once one of those guys that, was trying to find his way in the major leagues, went through some injury problems, and he emerged as the Cubs closer last year. So I respected that out of both of them. But as far as Wesneski now, I mean, obviously the big question is, can he be in this rotation for those few starts that Tyone's going to miss, or whether he wins the spot over Jordan Wicks? I doubt that, but all I know is that Craig Counsell loves the guy, and so I think that he's going to get an opportunity, and two, I think he's going to be better than last season.
I probably agree with both of those things. Better than last season, like it obviously comes down to what he was able to, like when he was reflecting on the season, and you obviously heard him talk about it. Just some mental things, obviously, like the work, like bettering his arsenal and stuff like that is going to help him, particularly against lefties, because that was the issue with him last season. But even on the mental side, him talking about some of that stuff and going through the season for the first time, at least a lot of it at the big league level, that gives him some of that experience talking to guys like Adbert and getting advice on how to do things should help. I think it's going to come down to him going out there and proving it. But I would look at it as, he does have there's definitely a scenario where he is much better results this season than he had last season. I totally can see that because, like I said earlier, he has that the kind of stuff, the pitches, the even the moxie, right? Like the confidence on the mound when he is right. Yeah, you saw it in that when he debuted in September 22. He has that, and that's signs of a good pitcher. It's just a guy that has to put it all together. He will get a shot at some point this season. He's going to pitch games at some point. He's going to make starts at some point. I would look at it as probably like right now, if you were to make the big league team on opening day, he's probably a bullpen guy with one of the multi-inning role is what I would look at it for him to start the year if you were to make the team on opening day. But he's going to be at some point starting games for this team. He is part of that starting pitching depth, and you see just how necessary that is throughout a season. Even if he's not starting 15-plus games, a couple spot starts here and there, they might need him. So, he'll get his shot. He'll get his opportunity this year to show that he has learned from 2023 and the struggles he had last year. And like I said, it's kind of on him to go out and prove that he has done the improvements. But I could totally see a scenario where we're sitting here a few months from now. Okay, Wesneski actually did improve a lot. He's looking a lot more like the pitcher we thought we saw September 22, spring training 23. Like he's starting to get back to that level where we see him as a legitimate piece of the rotation moving forward. I can see that happening this year. It's just up to him to prove it. But I think, especially going through that interview, getting to talk to him a little bit about all the things that went wrong last year and how he reflected on it, it felt like he's got a better head on his shoulders, a better kind of more knowledge on how to approach things going forward and how to approach being a pitcher at the big league level and everything that comes with it. I could totally see a better season from Hayden Wesneski coming forward.
My biggest takeaway is I felt like he opened up a little bit. Like he talked about distractions and like.
Yeah, well, I don't think he's ever been like he has tended to be pretty open.
Has he?
With things like that, like just having talked to him, like he is willing. He's always been kind of willing to talk about just detail type stuff, right? Like not staying surface.
Maybe it's just like
stuff.
nothing that like I guess grabs the attention, like the headlines or whatever. I guess I don't know, but like, and it's not like I've listened to every single Hayden Wesneski interview. You're in the clubhouse, you talk to him more than anything, but Yeah, I mean,
but like, yeah, it is.
To me, that was impressive.
It is good to see him like that. That's part of his reflection, right? Like a mental side of it, the distractions and stuff. He said like distractions and some of them that I've caused myself, right? Him being willing and able to talk about that kind of stuff is a good sign. Again, that he's got a good head on his shoulders and is willing to do the work as far as reflecting on the things that went wrong and how he can better himself mentally, physically, on the mound, all that stuff.
Right. Okay. Well, I'd love to talk about it more, honestly, but I know Sarah is like, she has to do White Sox right after us.
Sarah's
we've already kind of gone over.
Sarah's about to come and like pull both our ears and drag us off.
I do want to say, though, I said at the beginning of the show, Jed Hoyer was on John Heyman's podcast, yesterday or the day before, whatever. And the biggest quote from it is Jed, and it's related to, the Jordan Montgomery, Blake Snell stuff. Jed Hoyer said, I generally think this is our team out there. We're always looking at trades. We're always looking at small things. I think that would be my general impression, that this will be our group. And I just want to say that he said that at the Bellinger presser.
Yeah, that's not changed.
And he's never been someone who reveals anything. I didn't think he was going to reveal anything on this podcast related to that front, but
I think he revealed it. I think he genuinely, like, this is what the group is going to be in his mind unless something happens. Like, that, it's not like he was – I don't think he's hiding anything. I think he legitimately looks at it as, like, this is the group we're going to run with unless some trade or a signing happens that we just can't pass up.
Yeah.
Like, I look at it as, like, yeah, like, Jed Hoyer does really believe this is it. And like you said, he said the same thing at the Bellinger press conference. This is not a new message. This is the exact same thing, basically just different wording that he talked about when he was asked the same question at Bellinger's press conference. Like, is this your team going forward? Is that your expectation? Yeah, that's my expectation is basically what he said. So
I'll just reiterate again that I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world that they don't get one of these two. Of course, I would like them to add a guy like Jordan Montgomery just because it adds to this depth, but I don't view this like I do Cody Bellinger at all. So we'll see how it plays out. And if I'm wrong about it, I'll put my hand up and I'll say credit to the entire YouTube chat for being right about it. So we'll see how it plays out. But I'm excited to see some of these young guys get a chance because I'm optimistic about the pitching. So, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. All I know is that if they do sign Jordan Montgomery or Blake Snell, if it magically happens, it better not happen on Saturday, the weekend of St. Patrick's Day. It just better not, all right?
it would be our luck, wouldn't it?
It would be our luck, but I'm telling you, it better not happen, all right? That is the last thing I want on the Saturday before St. Patrick's Day, all right, in Chicago, while I'm in Chicago. No, all right? Okay, Corey and Brennan tomorrow. Won't be live, I don't believe. But they will have their show up tomorrow. You can listen to it. We'll be back
in the chat. Give it likes.
Yes, yeah. Please go like their video. Go watch them. Yes. We'll be back Monday, hopefully with some huge news about something. I don't know what. All I know is
nothing bad.
Nothing bad. All I know is that Shota Imanaga struck out 9 guys, and the YouTube chat was lit about it, and I'm excited for him. So take that with you into the weekend, guys. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast, presented by Blue Moon. I will see you next week.
I'll also see you next week.
Okay. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.